this video I want to talk about using configuration variables and configuration tables. And we've got this Pear cam here, and we're told to make some configuration variables, which are right here. So one is called nominal diameter, and the other two are axial diameter and thickness. So the best way to explain what all this is about is to just show you. So I'm going to come over here to the right hand side. You'll remember we have the appearance panel here. There's some other stuff in here. We want to click the second one down, which is configuration panel. So I click there. The way we're asked to do it is to go and make a variable, and the first one is called nominal dia for nominal diameter. Nominal diameter, and to give it a value of 2.5, I think it is. Let's go back and check. Yeah, 2.5 right there. So what we ended up doing is being able to treat our Pear cam kind of like a circle, in the sense that we give it one diameter and it changes and gets bigger or smaller, but yet it retains its shape. That's kind of where we're headed. So we have this nominal diameter configuration variable. So if I accept that, what you're going to see over here up in the upper left is that I get this field here where I can change this value. Now nothing will happen if I change it now, but eventually it might if we do this right. So we'll be able to change things up here without redesigning the whole thing. Okay, we're also told to make a couple more, so come down here, configuration variable, and the next one is called axial dia, A-X-L-E-D-I-A, and it's 0.25, so that's going to be associated with the diameter of our axle, so there it is. Again, these aren't doing anything yet. And the final one we're told to call THK, and it's got a value of 0.25 as well. Okay. So we've got these variables that we can put into a configuration table. Now let me show you what a configuration table is. And by the way, you can see all these quantities here are now fields up here in the upper left. So eventually, again, if we set things up correctly, we'll be able to just change the values up here and our part will change appropriately. All right, next step. Now that we've defined configuration variables, we want to make a configuration table. And they call this list here, but really to me it seems like more of it should be called table. But at any rate, let's go ahead and click it. So if you click list, it's going to make this little list input, and the first one it's got is default. So each row here, and we're going to add columns to the right here in a moment, each row corresponds to one version of our part. So we're going to have a default row here, and again I'm going to have more values over here, and then we're going to give another name and we're going to change those values here so that I can select them. Alright, let me show you what that means. So this is where it gets kind of cool. So what I can do at this point to define what the default configuration is, I click up here on plus configuration features. So if I click there, I get this yellow bar up here. Remember when we were making exploded assembly drawings? When we have this yellow bar up there, it's kind of a big deal. That means we can select stuff over here and things will happen. It's pretty cool actually. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on large radius over here, and then I'm going to come up to the value and notice that it's yellow in the background. That means I can select this. So I'm going to left click here, and look, I have a yellow dotted line around that value, and I've got a column here called large radius that's added to my default row configuration. Okay. Now I'm going to continue, and for all of these 5 variables, I'm going to click on them like that, and then click the value, and that's going to add another column over here. And again, it'll become more clear as we progress. So if I hit height and then click value, I've got a height over here, and then I click hole diameter, click the value there, and I click thickness and click the value there. That gives me another row. Okay, so I've got all the different parameters associated with my Pear cam in here, so I can click done. Okay. Now look over here in the upper right. Again, we still have the nominal diameter, axial diameter, and thick quantities, but also we've got this drop down since we added this list input. By the way, we can change that name, but for now, we'll just keep it as default. And so by a drop down, I can choose different versions of my part. Okay. So at this point, we're told to make a new version. So we've got our default version. We've just made that in a recent video. So we're told to come here in another row. That's going to be another version of our part, our configuration of our part, and call that cam01. Okay. And you'll notice that as soon as I give it a name, it just copies what I had here beforehand for all these quantities. Now I want to replace these with formulas. So, and we'll see why we do this in a minute. So instead of the, what is it called, large radius, I want to replace that with nominal diameter over 2. Right? And notice, remember, our nominal diameter is one of these variables that we defined up here. So let me do that, and then we'll see what happens. So can I just press N? Yeah, nominal diameter over 2, tab. And then for small radius, I want to do nominal diameter over 4. So you can see we're getting to the point where we're going to have this nominal dia variable describe the whole thing. So when we change it, we change the whole thing, the whole Pear cam. So that's going to be nominal dia over 4. So press N and then over 4. Okay. How about the height? Well, the height is going to be the nominal diameter over 2. And over 2. And then we're told for the whole diameter to replace it by axial dia minus 0.025. Let's not worry about why we do that for now. But let's just do it. So axial dia minus 0.025 over 2. We're told that we have to, let me just, let's see, A for axial diameter minus 0.025, and I have to put the inches in there for some reason. So don't forget that part. Finally, for the thickness, I think we're told to make that just, what do we make that? Just call it thickness. Okay, so that'll be THK, our other configuration variable. Okay, so we have that. Now let's see what happens here. So if I come over here into my list input, I can choose a different drop down, and when I choose this, it should change a little bit. I'll talk about that in a second. So let me watch the Pear cam. When I select this one, it changes a little bit. The reason that's the case is because when we originally made this, I think the small radius was the nominal diameter over 5, if I'm not mistaken. At any rate, now look what we can do. Since I've got cam2 chosen on my list, it's going to dimension the Pear cam in such a way that it follows the value of the nominal diameter here. So what if I change the nominal diameter to 3 up here? It got bigger, but its shape didn't change, overall shape. How about 2? Or 1.5? All right, so that's, at this point in time, we're happy that if we can understand what all this configuration variable and table stuff does, and list input, etc. does, if you just understand what we're doing there. And I can go back to my default through the drop down and it goes back to that. But then if I go to cam1, again, it goes back to that one. So that's the whole point, at least so far, of using configuration variables and configuration tables. We haven't really done anything with axial diameter or thickness, so don't worry about that for now. And I think we could actually change list input 1. We could change that to cam size or something like that. So if I press, yeah. So you can imagine that it might be useful to be able to have a variable version of that, which I can very precisely controlled there. So that's configuration tables and configuration variables.